Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. And all because crazy mom couldn't handle the true scenario here, that she was not paying enough attention to her young and impulsive child, and so the child could easily have gotten run over while mom was doing something else. Crazy lady accuses us of trying to kidnap her child. The town I live in is a small town, and when I say small, I mean it's sometimes not even included on maps. It's just a little farm town surrounded by farms, and there's just not much here. One thing we do have is a cemetery. A very, very big cemetery, and also very old. It can actually be quite beautiful. If you're the kind of person who likes peaceful nature walks and quietly enjoying beautiful views, this cemetery is the perfect place to go walking around. I myself am a single mother, and when I first moved here, my child became almost instantaneous best friends with my neighbor's youngest daughter, who were both around the same age. At the time of the incident, my daughter was 4, hers was 5. Well, with not much else to do, we'd all get together and go walk around the cemetery. So it'd be me, my daughter, my neighbor, and her 2 daughters. The other daughter is older by a few years, and my neighbor's boyfriend. We did this every day for months without any issues, but this day would be different. Now, to try to give you a clear picture, the cemetery is so large that although it has a main entrance that is necessary to use if you're driving, there's many side places to enter from if you're on foot. One such side, the oldest and in my opinion the most beautiful part of the cemetery, was closer to where my neighbor and I live, so that's where we'd always enter and exit from. To get there from where we lived, we had to cross a busy intersection and then go down a dirt road a ways. There's a house on the very corner of the intersection and then 2 other houses we have to pass in order to get to the cemetery, so 3 houses total after we cross the street before we get to the cemetery. The day in question, my neighbor's boyfriend and oldest were well ahead. My neighbor's in the middle, trying to encourage our littles to move a bit faster as they keep getting distracted and stopping. Flowers, butterflies, sparkly rocks. They were very easily distracted by anything that caught their eye at that age, and I brought up the rear to make sure nobody got left behind. So everything starts out fairly normally. We manage to get past the second house, important, before the littles get distracted. So of course we start encouraging them to catch up to the neighbor's boyfriend and older child. The boyfriend, who's in the very lead, turns around and calls out, "Come on, girls!" Eldest child also turns and parrots this, only louder, adding in a brag of how she's winning. It wasn't a race, but kids. Definitely nothing weird or unusual. Or so we thought. Suddenly, a car turns down the road, so this time my neighbor and I also call out, "Come on, girls, take my hand," and we each grab our kid's hand so we can be safe as the car passes. Just as suddenly, a child who looked even younger than our littles darted dangerously close to the road from the corner house on the intersection. Remember, we're already past the second house at this point and are actually now passing the third. Now, of course, as a mom myself, even not knowing this kid, I have a mini heart attack, but luckily some adult must be nearby because kid gets yanked back from the road at the last minute and we proceeded to enter the cemetery. All's well that ends well, right? Wrong. Enter crazy mom. This woman runs into the cemetery screaming at us about how we can't walk down that road, it's a public road, and about how she's calling the police because we tried to kidnap her child. WTF. Of course, me and neighbor immediately defend ourselves against this insane accusation by pointing out that we have every right to walk down a public street and we were nowhere near her kid. Crazy mom isn't having it, insisting because we called out, "Come on, girls," to our own children, we were trying to kidnap her daughter. There's no real good ending, I'm afraid. We tried a few times to point out all the flaws in crazy mom's argument, but she simply wasn't having it, and we got tired of arguing with crazy and finally told her to just call the cops then, and walked away. She screamed at us a bit about fleeing the scene, which we ignored, and eventually she quit following us. Cops never did show up, and we continued these walks until COVID hit. My daughter will be 7 this year, but never saw that lady or her kid again, nor had we ever seen her before. So apparently she didn't even live there. No idea if she was friends or family of the people who do live there, or even possibly a customer, as it's an older couple who actually live there and sell raw honey from bees they own. And our second story. We can't take our break while we're waiting on an email reply? Okay. This one happened at my current employer. Now, keep in mind, I'm already checked out at this place because of our whole team being overworked and understaffed. The dams to give are few and far between. But this one involved a fairly new coworker, we'll call him Ryan. And I'll be damned if I let management start abusing him this early in his career. So Ryan's the new help desk guy. He's the first to answer all calls, emails, tickets, etc. that come into our very busy IT help desk. One guy. That's it. I'm supposed to be level 3, but when management thinks frontline support for 250 people can be done by one person, I get to do more important things like show employees where their PC's power button is. But that's not what this story's about. I should also point out our customers are actually just our employees. We don't support external customers at all, just our internal employees. Ryan has just gone to his legally mandated lunch break, and my manager IMs me. We'll call her Sarah because somehow the name fits her. Sarah, a manager just called and said she saw Ryan walking to his car and he's supposed to be helping her employee with their phone. Me, yeah, it was his lunchtime. Sarah, why did he go to lunch when he was in the middle of helping a customer? Me, oh, it was just an email. I see here Ryan sent her a reply and she didn't respond until after Ryan went to lunch. It's just a soft phone issue though, so she can still make calls using her desk phone. Sarah, it doesn't matter. He shouldn't leave when he was in the middle of working with the customer. Me, well, in his defense, we work like 5 to 10 issues at once, so if we didn't just drop what we were doing at break time, we'd never get one. We pretty much have to do that because of our workload. Now, I thought this was pretty reasonable on account of us being overworked as hell, but apparently this was the wrong thing to say. Sarah comes out of her office and walks up to me. Sarah, if you're in an active conversation with our customers over phone or email, you should never stop until you resolve the issue. Me, wait, seriously? We do that on emails all the time. We always have. Nobody's going to walk away during a phone conversation, but this was a fairly low priority email. Wrong move. Sarah becomes visibly agitated that I'm not just rolling over and taking her directions with a smile and a nod. She's a manager and what she says goes. Sarah, no, we're not going to do that anymore. You never leave in the middle of helping a customer. It doesn't matter if it's a phone call or email. You need to stay with it until the problem's resolved. Go ahead and finish the soft phone issue that Ryan was working on, and I'll speak to him when he gets back. Sarah then turns and walks off without waiting for a reply from me. I realize she's new and probably doesn't understand just quite how ridiculous what she just said really is, but it bothers me that she disregarded my input completely and she's treating us like we're cashiers. This isn't a JCPenney, this is an IT department. We don't serve customers, we serve the needs of the business. I start daydreaming up all the different ways this could go badly. Labor law violations, massive overtime, huge backlogs since we'd be effectively waiting on a single customer to reply instead of working business critical issues. But it turns out I didn't need to worry about that at all. I crap you not. 4 minutes later, I get an IM from the CEO's assistant, Jan. Jan, CEO needs you to listen to a voicemail ASAP, but he's forgotten his password. Can you reset it? Perfect. Me, I'm sorry, but I'm not available right now. You can speak with my manager, though. Jan, oh, wow, sorry, I'll do that. Now, just as a clarification, me and Jan are about as close to on-the-clock friends as coworkers could be. She's on the ball and can read between the lines instantly. She knows something's up because I'd never answer her IM like that, and I wouldn't be stupid enough to tell the CEO I'm not available because I'm with a customer. Not even 2 minutes later, guess who shows up at my manager's door? I couldn't overhear the conversation, but it doesn't take long before Sarah's back at my desk. Sarah, so the CEO needs his voicemail password reset? Me, okay, well, I'm still working with the customer on this soft phone issue, but a request from the CEO does sound pretty important to me. Sarah, yeah. Me, so are you saying I should stop working this email and work on CEO's issue instead? Sarah, please. Me, she probably won't get a response to her email until Ryan's back from lunch, though. Sarah, that's fine. Me, okay. It was never even mentioned to Ryan, and that's probably the fastest I'll ever see malicious compliance work its magic. As a rule, never mess with IT. They'll comply, and they'll make sure they go overboard with it. And our last story. Bye-bye, HOA. What's up? Buckle up, because you're about to witness how a rebel with a cause, me, took down an oppressive make-believe HOA. This is a tale of paint, unlawful barbecues, and a steadfast refusal to be tamed by bogus bylaws. Last year, I rolled into the neighborhood with my house looking like a bad 90s toothpaste commercial. Think splashy Aquafresh aesthetics. But after I worked my magic with the paintbrush, my new digs went from not to hot. Then came the laughable invitation to the collective of inhabitants, a glorified HOA with zero perks and all the nuisances of a clingy ex. I noped out faster than a cat in a bathtub. While I was fiddling with home repairs, a bogus fine from a city official for illegally removing a boulder that was historic city property landed in my mailbox. I sniffed out the scam like a bloodhound. No real fines here, just smoke and mirrors. I didn't even have any boulders in my yard, but one day a neighbor HOA chairman came by and said he could help me solve my problem with city officials for a small favor if I agreed to join his HOA. I said no, and the next time he came over was when I was barbecuing in my backyard. My barbecue was as illegal as pineapple on pizza. He said my barbecue's illegal because the smoke is poisoning all the HOA residents, so I must stop. I stoked my barbecue with the best cherry wood I could find. After a comical exchange and a not-so-subtle threat to call the real police, they scampered off like roaches when the lights come on. Now, this barbecue turned into an impromptu venting session about the HOA. I learned I was living among oppressed people who got fined for everything, from taking out the trash to daring to breathe too loudly. So after drinking enough beer, we decided to file a class action suit. I don't have legal expertise, but luckily one of my stepfathers is a lawyer and he was keen to take action. We filed legal charges for fraud and harassment among others and swiftly brought the matter before a judge. The hearing was brief, merely 15 minutes after the evidence was presented. Our case was strong, primarily because we had legal representation, while the HOA's board was poorly defended by their president, a professional Karen. Karen kept yelling that we were violating the codes that she had on her hands, and that was basically her only proof. The HOA was fined a paltry amount and had to pay me and 5 other neighbors a bunch of damages. The total came to about $100,000. They didn't have much money, so they were forced to dissolve. Thus ended the tenant group, and there was much celebration. Lesson: never find a man who drinks beer in his backyard. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.